Welcome back. I love you all. My good friend Tab Straits is going to join me in a little bit, and we're gonna keep making this spa a little bit cooler because it is quite hot right now. And the last time I was in a bath this hot, I had a girlfriend, and she liked it very, very insanely, intensely, hilariously hot. I don't know if you got that reference when Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, was talking to Loki, saying like, "We are hopefully hilariously outgunned," and then he does this thing with the Avengers, and then saying like, "You've made me very desperate." That was such a good movie. That was Taps. Wasn't that a great movie?
The best.
Oh, the best movie. Okay, so we are going to go and this is what?
Is it tangible yet?
It's still pretty hot, but I also like it. That's fine. You're good. You're probably good. I mean, I'm also next to where the cold water is running. What is this?
This already looks really weird on camera.
Is this water?
Stream. It is water. We have a
It is water.
drink, so hello everyone.
Have you heard about those?
Looks like I have toilet paper on my head, but it actually is a face mask I ripped up because I didn't know how to wear it on my face.
Shout out to Sparky, Brittany, last
crazy. The first time.
shout out to Wendy Stibalis and VeVeVerse for getting us these. What was supposed to be a spa day, but we didn't get there in time for the spa day, so we're doing.
Also, we found out the hotel does not have a hot tub, so we're like, well, this is a giant bath.
It's a very giant bath.
And we just stream and let's talk about the day.
Yeah.
Randy, we had an awesome time tonight. Tab Screen. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, well, the karaoke. So
Also, that was just really fun.
can we play the karaoke? Does anyone have a video of us doing karaoke? I mean, I saw so many cameras. I saw so many phones up. So I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do.
I think Dan Lee and Chris Coffey have it.
Yeah.
Should we try?
Which are, by the way, both of them are awesome in person.
Oh, they're
Like,
so great.
I hung out with them the first day. This doesn't look weird, Tabs. This looks exactly what I think it looks like. Ayo. Fair.
The
What's on your head, Tabs? It's not toilet paper. It's
Cobra Kai.
Shoot the leg.
Let us watch the first video that I have of the night of me falling.
Yeah, show that. Oh, it's already fallen.
Yep. So here's me. Oh, well, here's some other people, and then I go. Oh God. Okay. I go way down. So we'll do it one more time because that is. Oh, that's where it's at. Oh, that's where it's at. Oh, there you go. Ooh. Yeah. So that is a couple videos, a couple times of me falling. I'm gonna run that a little more chilly. Because that's a little hot for me, so I'm gonna put a little more cold water in that.
When you don't have a hot tub, you make a hot tub.
That is what we do. So there was a Facebook, someone posted on Facebook that I wanted to ask you about. Somebody had said, I think new all-time highs aren't that unreasonable anymore. Now, most likely this person said this because we had the.
Wait, what?
They said that I think new all-time highs are not that unreasonable anymore. Meaning that this person up until today thought that going back to all-time highs were unreasonable. Like for whatever reason, they think that Lambo and the VeVeVerse, although extraordinarily amazing announcements, they thought those are the only reasons that we're going back to all-time highs. Have zero. This is what I mean when I think a lot of people have zero. They can't view more than like 2 months out.
So, can I say something that's going to be a little shocking?
Of course.
Realistically, when you look at markets and how they react, and if you look at like big degen projects that have way smaller communities than ours, even when they shoot up 100 and something percent, it's still pretty limited. So if you look at a project that makes a lot of sense, and we're a smaller project than most. However, the idea that we could have an all-time high during Max Sphere, and when literally every institution right now is trying to rethink about how they invest. in crypto. And it's just not possible that we could hit a all-time high, in my opinion, within the next 12 months.
Well, he wasn't, this person wasn't saying that it was happening within a certain time frame. This person was generalizing, saying that he didn't think it would happen ever until now because of these announcements. That's how I'm interpreting it.
Okay, that I agree with.
Uh,
Now, so the difference is there will be another bull market, and in, again, my opinion, I think it will be mid to third quarter of 2024. And I know everyone's like, oh my God, it's so far away. Or you could just look at like, this is a long time to accumulate. And I mean, it literally works out the same way every 4 years.
Pretty much. Well, for most projects, or for most good quality projects. Because, I mean, we have been...
Anything with weight to it, yeah.
We have been accumulating for the last, like, year and a half. And to say that's another 2 years, like, okay, well, does that mean there's only, like, a 6-month period of accumulation?
But what was 1 year of that? Literally, like, the peak bull market. And, like, we're one of the top performing cryptos in the entire space.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is our first, like, real go through. And then it's going to actually turn into what it's supposed to be.
Super chat from Nastascia saying, Randy, David, how rich will we be? David Hughes says yes. So I don't know if I've ever asked David such a simple, elementary question, like how rich we'll be. I think what decides, one decides making a joke because it's hysterical, but the other thing is basically how what I think Asai is asking, what can you, if you bought $1,000 worth of OMI today, what would that net you in peak bull market, like 2025?
So what's $1,000 worth of OMI today? That's like what, 1.15 million?
Yeah, give or take 1.15, 1.12.
I mean, I think we're both have different answers because we talked about this recently.
We did.
So you have to think about the fact that even though some people are selling, even though the market's going down, there are a lot of people accumulating. So if you look at what it was back in March of 2021, it was price discovery mode, and like no one knew what it was, and it just kind of shot up like crazy amounts.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people know it is, but it's still by far not even comparable to Decentraland or Sandbox. So
Why? Why is it not comparable?
transaction volume, it's not even close.
What is the transaction volume of Decentraland or Sandbox?
It's roughly anywhere between 12 to 18x on a good day. So the point being is we're gonna catch on, and then with them announcing that it's actually gonna be like the fact that like we actually like bring things in, like it's gonna actually be able to broaden, which is good. However, when you think about OMI, you have to think about like who's gonna buy it besides just people buying it. And we need new money coming in, which we will, but at the same time, it's gonna take some time. So
What's your time frame on that? Because we have crypto pay-in coming in within like the next 6 weeks,
I mean,
4 weeks.
again, like I've bought a lot of OMI, I've held all my OMI,
Mm-hmm.
and the way I look at it is I'm not selling any of my OMI until probably 2025.
Yep.
And I think that's probably the best time to hold to.
So you typically, outside of OMI, you are not a day trader, but a swing trader.
Yep.
And why have you chosen OMI to not swing trade?
Because I have an emotional attachment to it. I knew with the OUP article, I probably should have swing traded it, like buy the Russell News. Right?
Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, I should do this, but I couldn't do it because I'm so attached to the project.
Yeah.
And it's happened multiple times. But however, like I swing traded Ethereum when like they announced like, oh, it's happening in September, and I was like, I just bought a shit ton of Ethereum, sold it at 2,000, sold again at 1,800, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy it back at 1,300, and then it went down to 1,200. But same thing, like I bought Solana cheap, I bought Matic cheap back in 2021, and then sold it high. Like, but only I have like this weird emotional attachment to, because it's one of those things where like you never know what's gonna affect it because it's so different, you know? Like everything was tanking, and for a while it was just like stable.
Yeah.
And then now it's going down. At the same time, it's like, okay, well, thank you. Like, I mean, right when we arrived here, I was like, oh, hey, I just bought 6 million more.
Yeah, that's true. I told him, he's like, how much more should I buy? I was like, it's like that, I'm gonna get like banned for this quote. You ever see, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, the movie?
Yeah.
When the
Tucker Max.
yeah. When the girl's like, how big's your dong? He's like, well, how big's your mouth? when you ask me like, how much should I put in? Like, well, how much you have in your bank account? Like, it's the same rule applies. It's as much as needs to be. So I'll also say, like, you know, that obviously we have to pay attention to the micro people that are looking at TA and what happens with swing traders, day traders, but also what's happening in the macro. And it was announced today that Elon Musk is going to reinstate Trump's Twitter account. What do you think of geopolitics at play, where you have Zelensky that claims he's this horrendous war with Russia, which mostly it is, but also like posing for, was it Gucci, or posing for Vanity Fair, posing for these.
Are you asking me just general politics or like how it relates to crypto?
Well, how it relates to economics at large, where you have these major countries that are, I mean, the U.S. is for the most part, everyone kind of, you know, we have the strongest currency, and that currency to many, I don't think so, but to a lot of people is about to be challenged, because if Trump takes office, the world is going to go to hell in a handbasket, even though I think regardless of who's president, the U.S. would probably be fine. But people tend to have knee-jerk reactions to this type of thing.
Oh, that's a tough question. So what's funny is like, I'm not a Democrat, I'm a Republican. I look at who supports what, and it's tough because I think that the world relations sides that Trump did was great, and we're in a better position than where we are now. However, I love green energy, and like Biden was committing money towards that, and like it's so.
But not really acknowledging Tesla.
I feel like that's the problem with our generation is like, I feel like for decades it was like you're Republican, you're Democrat, and like this is the box you fall into, and this is what you vote for. Now it's getting more black and white, or sorry, it's getting more gray, to where it's like, well, I don't like most of these things, but I agree with this. So do I just try for another vote, or do I just agree with another one, you know? Or do I not vote? Like, voting's been way down.
Well, you're also in California, where most people, almost always goes Democrat. So it doesn't really matter, at least for president, who you vote for. Congress, depending on where you are, it is different, but.
I know this is very taboo to say, but I didn't vote last year. I didn't know how to. I was just like, I vote on like the propositions and all that, but like, I just was, why do you have to choose between two options that you don't agree with either one?
Yeah. I mean, some people.
And I get like we have the option to vote, which is better than other countries, but like that was a part of where I was like, I don't want either one of these people to do it. I know one's gonna be one, but like, yeah.
I mean, some people will say, well, you have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Some people will say that you have even if somebody, if you say the country is here and you want it to go here, if one person has it over there, but one person has it over here, where their policy you want to go to, well, you vote for the closest that goes to what you think is ideal. And then there's other people that say, well, the lesser of two evils, they're still picking evil.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly.
Sounds like I'm peeing, but I'm not.
Stop peeing in the tub.
Episode of SpongeBob. I'm feeling a warm spot. So moving away from the politics a little bit,
What about that? Yeah.
okay. So you told me, I think in the decom kickoff party in May, that you had, it might have been before then, but I think it was around that time that you were engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also told me that, if I can quote Billy Joel, that when you wore a younger man's clothes, you were, well, you were young and single, and you're good looking, and you clearly have options.
Well, I wasn't good looking.
Well, I think you're good looking, and you might have had options. How did this woman tame the beast? How did who you're with
No, I
now?
wasn't beast. It was more just. So you mean like why did I choose
To settle
to be
down?
in a relationship?
How did the woman tame the wild horse that was House Trace?
So what's funny is like she she actually didn't like me at first because because she was like, okay, well, this guy has a lot of friends, he drinks all the time, like she was just like, he's too active, and like I was single at the time, and then like we started talking, and then we realized we had like all of the same interests, like what mattered to us, and also how we grew up. Like I always thought, like when it comes to love, when I was younger, I thought I needed to find someone that had everything I never had. So my ex-girlfriend.
Why?
Because I thought like I need to be evened out, right?
So it would complete you?
Yeah, like I thought it was gonna be like, okay, like this will make me better because they had these sides that I never grew up with, right? So when I was after college, after I dropped out of college, I was like, I met this person, and I was like, okay, like this girl comes from an affluent family, and like they're well off and all this, and it actually divided us because I couldn't relate. Like I grew up like single mother raised me, paycheck to paycheck. Like it was like, oh, for Christmas we made each other gifts, like that was my life. And so when I was older and like I got in this relationship, and I was just like, I don't understand. Like it actually created a barrier between us. So my new relationship, she grew up very like not well off at all.
Yeah.
Like kind of had some issues with her family like I did. And then we kind of bonded on it. And same sense of music, same kind of outlook on life, same sense of like, hey, let's go hike and do this. And then we just started connecting, and it was just like, oh, I think I'm pretty sure we're very similar people. However, everything that was different was the things I wanted to get better in, and vice versa. And like,
And she recognized that as well?
yeah.
Nice. So you recognize that you got lucky because...
Oh, I got 100% lucky. She's a way better person than I am.
Shout out to Richard Wilson saying sending nudes to taps and naps tray. He always says sending nudes and puts the noodles like the ramen emoji.
Send them lewds.
So what you did think was that childhood maybe broke you in a certain way, and the jagged weapon that you possibly could have become could have been fixed by somebody else that was broken in a completely different way, but matched you.
That's a different way of putting it, but I think it was more, I guess you're gonna put it that way. It's more like, you would assume like someone who's a spear would need a shield.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe two spears meet, and then they're just kind of, they say that way, you know, like I don't.
So kind of like in the same way that two wrongs don't make a right, but three rights make a left. That's what needed to happen in your case.
Two spears make a dope ass couple.
Okay.
Like how they say.
Yeah. Candace Bevan says, "Show us your mighties. Much love from Australia." You don't have your phone on you, do you?
I don't, but I have a lot of mighties.
Yeah, you own all of them except for Namor and the 2099 Spider-Man.
Which means you should all sell it for like $2,000 right now. So you can buy it.
Wait,
sorry, 200.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2,000. That's like no one's gonna buy that. My mighties are a little different. I have also don't like drunk VeVe because now I have 50. I had like hundreds of gems. I have 100 gems, but I have 56 sets and over 600 collectibles. But I'll show you my stack of mighties, and then we'll get back to the question. It is Lady Deadpool, and I have 77 of Lady Deadpool. So that's my stack. Thank you for the super chat.
Great question. How many your logos do you have?
I've never sold, so I have 201 common.
What?
Yeah, 201 common.
You never sold ever?
Well, because I told people that like, hey, listen guys, I will never sell. And unfortunately, because I'm a man of my word, that put me, it would be so much easier if I could sell. Thank you, some random name 18. I think that's, never mind. Some random name 18 giving me that $1 super sticker. So it'd be so much easier for me to sell, like for me to cash out or do whatever, because I have 18 secret rares and currently the floor is 370. So even if I put them at 300 each, even if I've only sold 10 of them, that's 2K minus the 8.5%. So figure about 1825.
Mm-hmm.
I could pull out 1,000, get a million Omi, and then I could go and have 900 doll hairs, or I'm sorry, 800 doll hairs to complete like 8 more sets.
You realize if you just sold literally every other collectible and just bought exclusively alligator Lokis, you could own the entire market.
No, because the secret rare alligator Lokis specifically, like 30% of them are locked up. It was confirmed that Dr. Profit has like 72 of them when they did the wallet check. And then I have like 3 other friends that have bought a bunch. So I would not own the whole, I would not own the whole market. Which even if I could, I feel like there's other things that will yield more returns, especially because I can't sell the Lokis.
Let's talk about the VeVeVerse reveal today.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about what makes sense to stack and or what you think could come with what we saw today.
Oh, so on the VeVeVerse reveal, depending on when if you had the inside look or the outside look, you had different collectibles. You could put any collectible you want in the VeVeVerse. Not just any collectible, but you could put any NFT that you want, that you have that's like a Bored Ape or a Feesh, because there's Feesh in the VeVeVerse, and you can go and put that in there. So essentially, I don't think what we saw today won't really tell us what is gonna be more profitable in the future. I think it makes a lot of people that maybe weren't as bullish on VeVe more bullish on VeVe, because when you take a look at Meta, that has spent about 16 to 25 billion, give or take. They've spent about 4 billion a quarter on their metaverse, and their avatars don't have legs.
that post from Mark, he was so funny. Oh my god, it's so good.
And then you look at our metaverse, the VeVeVerse, and they do have legs. That just makes people bullish on the space in general. That makes us say, okay, maybe Zuckerberg is onto something. Maybe the fact that he proposes to spend $250 billion in the next, before the next decade, means that he expects trillions to go into the metaverse.
Well, and someone's going to say, well, then, VeVe doesn't have billions to spend. Well, yeah, but at the same time, the reason why Facebook has spent billions is because of their user base. And VeVe needs to grow their user base. So that was something that I took away from it, was like, I'm excited for Lambda, I'm excited for the VeVe. Like the VeVeVerse actually looks really good. the piece and you asked me earlier, like, what are you most sad? I was like, the fact that they said, if you have a Bored Ape, if you have whatever, like, you can bring that in. Now, what's great about that is everyone says, how can we grow this community? How can we, like, if you look at something like Luna, they have over 1 million in their entire like followers, and like it goes absolutely nuts, like just randomly right after it was like absolutely destroyed. And there's still people like I made a lot of money with Luna buying it when it dropped because I bet on the community.
Okay.
And their community dwarfs our community. So people will bet on something that makes no sense. Now, when it makes sense and it's fun, and then it encompasses people who've already invested. So outside of Bay Area Yacht Club, like, okay, they've showed a trailer about their metaverse, but we don't really know what it's all going to be like and when it comes. In the interim, what about all of the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of projects that had NFT and are still holding them because they got stuck or held back or they love them just as an NFT? What can they do with them? If it's a closed metaverse, nothing.
Yeah.
If it's an open metaverse with already an avid community, they start kind of folding in. They get interested. They buy the plants. They buy the new tile, the wood, the housing stuff. It's almost like this. How I looked at it was, it's almost this weird mix of Sims meets spatial meets Decentraland. Like it was all encompassed, which there's things that I thought Decentraland lacked, and there are things that I thought spatial lacked. And I think there are still some things that VeVeVerse lacks, but also this is our first look. And I think when you, like the way it ties together, it's gonna be really good.
I agree. I think that well, also what was shown on 2 days ago was put down to 480p, and it was not what you really would have seen on a computer or on on a phone. And what you saw today was a little bit better, and then what you might see in the future probably will be better. And then also we had, if we're talking about VeVeVerse and we're talking about things that will potentially happen in the future, we have something that looks like Castle Crashers. We have something that looks like an anime, but you can play as a game. They will announce what this is tomorrow. They will announce what it can do, what it's meant for, what other people can do with it. Let's just speculate for a second and say that this might be a game. If anyone knows, again, Castle Crashers or any game in general in the last like 12 years, let's just say Bejeweled Blitz, that a lot of women know as well, because a lot of women play that, is that you can pay like an extra quarter or 50 cents to go and get these extra starting things.
Because you get like X amount of things a day, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep playing, so I'll spend $2.
Yeah. And then those microtransactions, imagine if that was with OMI. You had to pay an OMI. Either you could take your OMI and you can pay for it in that OMI, or you could take your Ethereum, pay a 5% fee or 4% fee, not have to buy OMI, not have to do anything and pay it. And then let's say it's done in the background with Wire. The amount of people that would, I'll do it in general just because when you have a game, you're gonna have a leaderboard. And when you have a leaderboard, it's nice to advance. Why have they made, let's say, Pokemon so easy the last few generations? So that you can advance very quickly. And you get those dopamine, you get that serotonin dump, where you just advance more and more, and the more you advance, you get that feel-good chemicals in your brain. It makes you want to play more. I think the VeVeVerse can tap into that. What do you think?
So, yes, but I also don't think the VeVeVerse needs like a ton of gamification, and I know that's like
not the right thing to say because everyone's been like, oh yeah, I like this, like we need games, and I think mini games make sense. I think keeping it simple makes the most sense. So make it clean, make it be about the IP, and at the end of the day, the company needs to make money, right? In order for it to invest and like keep building it better. So they've made money. Like, I mean, they won an award earlier this year. The way I look at it is, okay, so are they gonna start charging us for plants and all this? Maybe. And I'm sure some people will be like, well, this is stupid. Why would I buy a plant? And then when they see the Vaultaholics and everyone else like, okay, well, I bought recessed lighting and like, and they're gonna be like, okay, well, my shit looks like trash. And then they'll start thinking about it, right? And as long as they put, again, that back into making it better, stronger, how do you build socialization into it, which is coming? How do you make localization happen quicker? How do you continue to move the needle so that the entire idea is how do we keep growing as a community sustainable, whether we're in a bear market or not? Because I think the bull market will be absolutely crazy. Because if you look at what they built in that roadmap, it's not going to be even close to finalized, like where it's like really high quality database until the end of next year, which puts us in the best spot actually. And if you again look at that roadmap, they didn't mention anything about OMI or land sales. Because why would they? Why would they announce that before the bull market starts?
They'll have the VeVeVerse will have its own OUP. It'll have its own OMI utility.
I agree with you.
So they'll have that might be announced in the second half of next year. However, I will say that staking will come at some point next year, probably Q3. And Reese had said that, I don't know, I mean, you've taken a look at OUP, I think, pretty intimately. And in season 5 of staking, so like the 5th quarter, that's when you get those gold tickets. And Reese had said that most likely you'll be able to buy land before you can cash in those golden tickets. So land will probably, let's say if we start staking in Q3 of next year and we are able to cash in those tickets in Q4 of 2024, then we'll have probably been able to buy land well before then.
That's a big maybe though, right? Like realistically, like, I mean, they crushed it, the VeVeVerse and everything, but at the same time, OUP has been historically the most delayed thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they came out with it and it was awesome, like a lot more than I thought it was gonna be, but if it took that long to get out, do you think it's gonna be like a switch to turn it on? No. It's gonna take time to implement and then like take the feedback and re-implement, and so
I think there'll be many switches and some will be a lot easier to turn on than others. I think that you'll have, when we were originally announced the VeVeVerse, we were still on GoChain, and we're like, yeah, let's switch to Immutable X first, and that took a lot longer than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to go and say, okay, well now we're on Immutable X, now let's go and wait for, we need more exchanges and more this, and then, war in Ukraine happened. Here's your mask. Oh god, the mask fell apart. So I think there's a lot now that we have better, like we have a new CTO, we have a lot of other different things working for us. And speaking of working for us, I think morale is slightly a bit better now that OUP is out and MCP is on its way. Speaking of morale, Candace Bevan says, tell us your favorite joke.
my favorite joke?
As soon as I saw that, I've only thought of like racist and other things.
Why would I go?
Because they're funny. What is your funny joke? It doesn't have to be clean, but we're cleaning ourselves.
Can I give you my favorite normal joke, my favorite racist joke?
Yes.
And it's actually, so my favorite racist joke actually came from my cousin who's half black, and she told it to me and I thought it was hilarious. And she was 6.
Okay.
I think my favorite joke. What's my favorite joke? Oh, I like jokes. No, I'll tell you like my favorite. I feel like this is like really not things you talk about on YouTube. My favorite like kind of racist joke is what my niece told me when she was 6, and she asked me, "What's the difference between a white owl and a black owl?" I was like, I don't know. And she's like, "Oh, a white owl goes, whoo. A black owl goes, who dat?" And I thought it was the cutest thing ever.
That is cute.
And like,
It's adorable.
it was great. But I also associate, I don't think it's very funny, but I think it's funny because it's her.
Yeah.
Oh, favorite joke though. Favorite. I like corny jokes.
Yeah.
And so the difference between North California and South California is North Californians and other places in the world call almonds almonds.
And does that make you believe in eugenics?
No. So
Okay. That would make okay.
do you know how Californians harvest almonds?
How?
They shake the L out of them.
Boo.
It's a terrible joke.
I
I love it.
I don't know if you've ever seen Aqua Team Hunger Force.
Oh yeah, Friday
I
Lunch
was like,
is my boy.
I get it. I'm not laughing, but I get it.
That's why I like it, because it's a terrible, terrible joke.
Yeah, that's. So I come from the land of 4chan, and I come from the land of Reddit, where you have things that should not be joked about that are often joked about. I'm trying to think of the ones that I can say that won't get me canceled. I mean, it's also 2 in the morning for us and 5 in the morning. So it's 11. So people in Europe are all about. They're up. They're starting their day. They, have done stuff. I don't know. I just it's all they're all god awful.
You guys just put out there. What questions do you all want us to answer?
Yeah, that's true. What
It
question?
could be VeVe related. It could be only related. It could be about the Loch Ness monster. It could be about.
Want to hear a joke? Minorities' rights. That's like that's the only thing that I can think of that was slightly okay to say. So we'll go with some other stuff right now. I've been around crypto since the beginning and learned from my mistakes. Don't give up on solid projects and panic sell. Lori Walking Feather Shiny Shard says, "What am I watching?" With you.
Hey Lori.
Hi, ponytail gone. His ponytail's gone.
Hey, shout out to Lori, by the way. Like, she reached out to me recently and was like checking in, and like, it's actually really nice. Like, I guess I can say it on the stream. So everyone's like, "Hey, are you done with content?" And no, I just had like a collection of really bad things happen lately, so I took some time off, and like, I was actually kind of fearful to go to this because I thought like people were gonna be angry with me.
Were they, or were some?
No.
Oh no,
Like,
no one was.
everyone was just like, "Are you okay? Like, take care of life." And then like, "Are you gonna come back?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." Like, I actually started working on a video before I came here, and I couldn't finish in time. But everyone was super supportive, and it really surprised me. And yeah, I mean, that's fascinating this community, because like Lori, other people that reach out to me, and they're just like, "Are you okay?" And I was just like, I mean, at the time I was like, no, but I didn't want to. I'm not really like that kind of person. And it was really cool, the fact that like the people that we built relationships over the past almost 2 years really are like our true friends. Like, even though we haven't met some of them, and it's really cool, and really thankful the fact that like, we have the support system, even though life just kind of is shitty sometimes.
Yeah, it's very easy to cast stones of people, and especially because it happened to work out this way, that you had stopped making videos probably as the bear market was like barreling towards us.
I mean,
So it would be easy for someone to say like, oh yeah, you're making videos in the bull market, now you're not in the bear market.
and those
And they
people
didn't.
weren't around back in July of the previous year when everything was tanking
Yeah.
and NFTs were dead was like the common phrase, but they weren't around until November when Disney came.
Yeah.
And like, but like that's not the point, you know.
Walking Feather says she was so happy about Taps is okay. Was worried about the absence. Tamara says they're all crazy. Yes, I know. Yo, no one home says Van Gwen, 150 Deadpool Mighties. Candace, you have she has 150 of the actual the Deadpool Mighties, not the X-Men ones, but the
the common.
yeah the comics.
Nice.
That's dope. Jay Downey says, hey boys from Bali, what up?
Bali.
Good morning, Robel. Taps, hello from Decon London fam, says Inch. Randy taps with the goat, so I thank you, Randy. 2 goats in the tub. Hey, Wendy says, Randy, is Taps sleeping? No, he's right there. He's silly. The population won't believe that there's...
I'm sleep streaming.
Robo says they'll most likely assume it's a scam due to all the sentiment of crypto caused by FTX. That's possible.
Yeah. So I will actually speak to that. Like, what's funny is like if you look at, so like I love Altcoin Daily. I love all the channels I've followed for like 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But it drives me nuts how much SPX is getting just, oh, this slight thing changed, let's cover it. And that drives me nuts. So is it the Enron of crypto? It is, yeah. And so what drives me nuts is I hear other streamers, like not really ones I follow necessarily, but like I see them pop on my YouTube with like, oh, well, this is gonna cause this, and like we're gonna go into a bull run on this time, and I'm just like, the problem is this just set a lot of things that we built this year back.
How
Like,
long do you think?
Literally an entire bull cycle, which is 2 to 3 years,
Yeah.
roughly, from like the down, like the very bottom to the top. So I think realistically, everyone's been like, oh, next bull cycle, Ethereum's gonna hit $20,000, Bitcoin's gonna hit $250,000, and I didn't believe it was gonna hit that before all this happened. Now I really don't think it's gonna happen. So I think Bitcoin realistically next bull run, which is gonna be 2026 in my opinion, again, I'll do a video eventually. I'm gonna talk about why I think that. I think if we were to hit between $80,000 to $100,000 next bull cycle, that would be amazing. So I know it hit 69,000 this last one. However, this was a big reset of what took 10 years to build.
So on its way down, because generally Bitcoin goes down about 85% each bear cycle, and it seemed
It's
like,
gone further this cycle.
has it? What was 85% of 69,000?
Oh wait, maybe it hasn't.
Yeah, I don't think it has yet. So if we do 69,000 times 0.15, that would actually be 10,350.
Sorry, it has not.
So-
But the stock market is inching closer and closer, and like that's what's going to follow, right? So I don't really think about Bitcoin as much as I think about what the natural markets are doing, and the natural markets keep dropping.
I mean, we have had not just an average bear cycle, but we have had, I don't think, but the potential for World War III. We've had Russia invading. We've had, FTX collapsing.
Yeah.
There's like, how much stuff can you throw at Bitcoin? There's a lot of people, and I think it's been argued correctly, that the price of Bitcoin and crypto in general has been manipulated downwards.
Oh, 100%. I
And-
agree with you. Yeah.
And without that manipulation, it probably wouldn't have gone down this far.
And the fact that there's still Bitcoin Trust, people are paying $9,000 for Bitcoin right now, while the rest of us are paying 16,000.5.
Yeah.
So
So don't you think it will be manipulated upwards after we capitulate?
well, yeah, and that's how it always works. And again, like the only reason why even have like a little bit of money is because I started investing in 2018 when everything was down, and I researched heavily, learned about it up until 2020, and then everything tanked. And I remember I was like in a training class and everyone was freaking out. I was talking to this guy and he's like, I'm selling this and I'm doing this, but I'm holding this. And like, it was a training class, so we met every day. And like, the next week he was like, oh, so much on this, so I'm gonna sell this. And I was like, why? Like, I was like, why are you selling? And he was like, because I'm losing money. I was like, you only lose money if you're betting in really bad investments. And I remember I texted my girlfriend at the time and I was like, hey, like, I think that this pandemic is going to get worse. And so I'm investing in Tesla and Netflix and all these things. And one of them that I told her was, I'm looking at like all the vaccines that have hope to do something. I'm going to invest in NVAX. And I also invested in Moderna, but like not a lot. And NVAX went from $12 to a max high within a year and a half of, I think, $280. Sure.
Epic.
And I mean, it's those little subtle things that happen in history where, yeah, they suck in real life, but if you take advantage of them financially, you can set yourself up for just, again, more ability to be comfortable. And yeah, it could have hurt if it didn't go, if it was just like, oh yeah, this is, don't worry about it, we're going back tomorrow.
No.
But it was weird enough where I was like, I think this is going to be a bigger thing.
No.
And then it was, right?
So do you think that the manipulators, whether it be government or outside sources, need to further manipulate, or do you think that between unemployment and a potential housing market crash, that Bitcoin goes down there on its own?
Government's always been manipulative. Like, I actually really love watching news from outside of this country.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I am American. I like many things about America. However, it really cracks me up when people are like, oh, well, I like America because there's no propaganda. I'm like, you're absolutely incredibly uneducated or wrong. But yeah, so we get propagandized, very tailored news stories towards us, just like every other country. So I would say I don't know. I think I want the news, but I also don't want the news, you know?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that there's always going to be a struggle for, let's say we have right now or in the next few months, Republicans are going to take over the Senate and they're going to take over Congress. But you still have, as far as Democrats, you still have the presidency, you still have colleges, and you still have media. And I think that that's a nice little power struggle that they have. And the more, or the less that gets done in Washington because of that power struggle, I feel like the better that the public kind of is. Because when governments tend to have absolute power, they tend to pass really bogus laws. So I'm pretty bullish over at least the next 2 years on that. I don't know what happens in 2024 in that next election. Trump said he's running, and then we have Biden that's going to announce probably next year.
He already says he's going to announce?
Hinted at it, yeah. There was no confirmation, but
So who would replace him?
no, he said he would run.
He was saying running?
Yeah, or he hinted at himself running.
It's tough. And that's, so I actually usually try to like steer away from like politics on my channel. But I do understand that politics absolutely plays a big part in all of our lives. And it's funny because like if I just cared about that and selfish I know exactly who I vote for.
But
But
there's a greater thing at play.
but then I'm honest. Oh, okay. Like I know I care about this, so this is who I should vote for. But I don't want to vote for them because I still disagree with so many things they do.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of the problem with our system is you either do this, you do this, or you throw your vote away. Like, and it's never ever changed. So how do you rally for change in an environment where literally the rally for change is associated with an entire party?
Yeah.
Like that's the hard part. And like if we're really thinking about what's a fair system, why is one of two a fair system? You know?
Kay has mentioned before that he has had a plan to move away from the UK because of how not good it's been getting. Do you see in the next decade, or maybe a little longer, that you might move outside the US? And if you do, where would you go? Maybe somewhere like Portugal, Puerto Rico, or the...
Yeah, I've talked about this a few times. I wouldn't do it within the year. I think in 2024, pretty sure I'm gonna be moving to Bend, Oregon, because I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you, like I work from home, but I work a shit ton of hours constantly, and it was like, how do I balance life with an extremely demanding job? I have a life that is just like I walk out my front door and I can kayak, I can do everything I love to do that is like outdoors, and like, you know, paddleboard up to a bar or just drive 40 minutes north and go snowboarding. And so yeah, I think that's what the move is going to be. And then ideally, my goal is to retire once I hit like 50 years old, maybe earlier. And that will be moved to Portugal because I love it. Oh, the food's amazing. Everyone's amazing. Like, so yeah, like the Algarve coast in Lagos is amazing. Like most beautiful beaches I've ever seen in my life.
That sounds great. Portugal's great. I've been to the Azores. It's a lot of fun.
I've never been to Azores. That's great.
My friend Mike told me that I get off the plane, like, you sober? I'm like, yeah. I said, okay, you're driving. And as soon as we get into the car, opens up a bottle of Jack Daniel's honey, and then he's like, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, in Portugal, or at least in the Azores, as long as the person that's driving is sober, everyone else can be drunk, and you could be drinking in the car. I was like, that's amazing. And
Is that not the case in most states?
well, this is also right on the military base, so I don't know if it might be, but no, in the U.S., no, I don't think. At least in New York and New Jersey, you cannot do that. Candace Webb says, geez, $7.99 a month don't get us much on OnlyFans these days. Bear market, wash my back, bath time. I mean, you've at least over the last several years have made, I think, decent money. Is there anything, like, what would it take for you to make an OnlyFans, or for you to go and do something that is outside the general norms of society and go and do that? Like, how much money would it take?
So first of all, like, I think what you're asking that, I think a bit of context, like, that's almost like your only way out. It's not like
Why would you interpret it like that?
because of how you asked it. So I'm very sex positive. I think people who choose to create an OnlyFans and actually like put a face on there, and I'm like, that's really fucking brave, because we all have like our own taboo things, and like, hey, any way you can make money, do it. Is well, to a limit. Like, there's some things you should not do for money, to be fair.
No.
We've all seen Taken. So the question is, what would it take for me to do something similar to OnlyFans? I guess come to a point where I never lived like, when I was younger, I lived in the red, like, and money was money was the biggest fear of my life for most of my life.
Yeah.
So I think if I ever got to a point where
I was in debt again, like severe debt with no money coming in, I would be like, okay, I need to think about how can I make money, whatever way I can make money, and then I'd be like, okay, I guess you can like film things and put it on OnlyFans, but like that would be where I would think about it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So
And again, like not hating people who aren't there and still do OnlyFans.
So
Like,
for you, it would come from a place of struggle, not, hey, I can do this thing for, an extra 10 hours a week and also make an extra, 5,000 a month or.
not for me, only because if I have an extra 10 hours a week, I'd be putting out videos every single day. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So right now you don't have 10 hours a week.
no.
How long do you think you can do that for before breaking?
So, I mean, I dedicated a year and a half of my life to literally kind of just putting friends, my job, everything on the back burner because literally Omi and VeVe was my passion. So I was like, this makes sense, right? And then it finally caught up with me and like some things happened and it was just kind of like, okay, I need to kind of refocus on some things, and I think it's a good time to kind of figure out how that balance needs to be. So would I ever be able to put out a video every single day? Absolutely not. Could I, if I could just hop on camera and talk? Yeah, but I don't think
The quality
that's,
would be there.
yeah, only because I mean, if anything, if you hear me right now, I kind of just talk and I go down rabbit holes and then,
I love that. That's,
yeah, but I don't know. I think people want like 10 to 20 minutes of this is the information I need to know and why it's still relevant versus 2 hours of this is 100% why you should rethink the fact that Loch Ness could actually live outside of Loch Ness.
because there's potentially a lake underneath the lake, and that lake can.
There's a reason we're friends.
Fucking love you, man. Yeah, I've looked into that a lot. So Jayco, you asked the super chat why you're sending threats to my Twitter.
What?
Jayco said that. I believe why I just deleted the comment and I did not put you on blast on social media because maybe you were drunk, maybe you said something in jest, maybe you said something without thinking about it, but you did say something very, very misogynistic and very offensive, so I did send threats to your Twitter. But that's the only reason. Again, you super chatted, I do all the super chats, I answer all of them, that is why. And that's it. But like I said, I still enjoy talking with peeps and do not like to censor other peeps. Robert Van Ness, it's almost 12 o'clock here in Holland, ready for the next special presentation, Sunday, 3 o'clock your time. We will both not be there. We will both be gone. They are going to announce something. It is going to be that what they had showed.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that there's a manga called Fruits Basket, and
I know what it is.
I fucking love that. That's why I got this. And one of the characters in there, Toru's grandpa, says that people, when they interact with each other, make different combinations, sometimes good and sometimes bad. If you were to relate us to condiments, like peanut butter and jelly, honey and mustard, what would we be and why?
It's not fair because I already have the exact answer.
Oh, what is it?
Peanut butter and whiskey.
Ah,
Because you're a screwball. No, okay, if it's a real answer,
I think that's a real answer. But...
I don't know why. Like, so I was like thinking about it, and I'm a very visual person, like how my mind works. So I just saw like wood pegs and resin moving around them. So
Resin like that you use to.
make a knife, like the handle of a knife.
All right, so not like a bow for a violin that you use. So that,
No.
okay, gotcha.
I mean, this is again what popped in my mind. So the way I think of it is like we're like resin and wooden dowels in a handle,
Okay.
which means like we strengthen each other.
I think so too. I think,
That's the only way I can interpret it. You know? Yeah.
I would say that as well. I very thankful for this friendship. I remember, yeah, it was you, I think it was Cavell, and I think Orion Crypto Trader.
Oh, Arya was so good.
Yeah, that was like
He was
the
really
only other ones that were there outside of me. And there were probably others that just maybe didn't make it until later. But you're the one that I saw. That was like, I mean, I'm close with a lot of people. But I've only roomed with you and Foster. And me and Foster, we actually shared a bed.
What? Really?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
That's amazing.
It was not a big bed. It was,
After how much people have given us shit for that, like joking, and it actually happened with Foster. That's really funny.
we actually had a thing where like I put my thing up. He pressed play and he got out of the way, and I was kneeling on the bed. It was like, if I do this, I get more "Oh me, daddy." Oh hey everybody. So
That's great.
that was fun. That was a good time. But we did meet Foster's wife, who is in fact a woman.
She's awesome.
She's great.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. She's she I think she is a very good fit for Foster. I think they both are.
She understands his passion.
Yeah.
Every time.
So in the last year and a half that you've gotten to know me, what has my influence, if any, been on you, for good or bad?
I'll give you good and bad.
I think I know what the bad is.
I don't know if you do.
Okay.
So I would say the good is it's pretty inspiring because I think I'm really good at listening to people, but at the same time, I listen more than I interact. And seeing how you are with people, I would say that you listen, interact, and then empower, which is again like 2 steps further than I naturally do. So like I listen, I hear people out, I react, and like sometimes it's the way I react, I feel like it doesn't really, it's not the right reaction. But again, like you listen, interact, empower, like every single person you meet. And so I've seen you every single person leaves talking to you, feeling like they got a lot out of that couple words, like conversation. It doesn't matter. Like they left feeling empowered. So that's I think one of your strengths. What's a negative? Is that what it is?
Yeah, for positive or negative, good or bad, how I might have influenced you. And I think that would be just like moving you toward becoming a bit more of a degen than you would have been. I feel like that's
Okay, I understand. So I'd say like negative, how you've affected me is, so I know the answer that you thought is going to be like buying more Omi as much as possible,
Yeah.
whenever is possible. I would say that, and again, like you asked me, I would say the way that I think negatively that you've affected me is that you're so bullish on one thing that, again, it does convince me to think like I should go all in something or put more money into something that I'm comfortable with versus actually continuing to diversify, which I do and has been historically very successful for me. So that's the only like thing I'd say is like kind of the negative.
so part of the pushback on that is like I get every financial advisor that anyone would talk to, or even anyone that like Like, you don't have to be a nutritionist to learn how to lose weight. You eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. You
also
don't.
have to have a finance degree in order to be a financial planner.
Yeah. I mean,
Which is really funny.
most people would say that putting your eggs in one basket is not the right thing to do. But I would push back and argue against it. You said, I think before yesterday, that you have on your, on like the million tabs that you have on your phone, notifications, you have 80 different coins that you kind of
No,
follow.
no. On my watch list is 80 coins.
Yeah.
I don't have 80 different crypto.
Well, yeah, so like how much energy is going into, let's say you only intimately know 5. How much energy is going into that extra 75 that's on your watch list?
It depends if I'm in swing trade mode, which the bear market is my favorite time to swing trade.
That's fair. That's fair.
So right now, more than that 1 year we're in a bull market.
Yeah.
So it's funny because we were in a Telegram group, and remember, like I was like, I feel like this coin is gonna blow up because of how honestly sheepish people are with stupid meme coins.
Yeah.
And I looked at like, so I have a watch list of like 80 coins, and I clicked the 7-day highs and lows. On the lows, number 1 was FTX, number 2 was Economy. Out of 80 coins, number 1 was Elon Goat, which I brought up in our chat, and I was like, I feel like at some point this is a good, it was up 130%. And every time I've bet on like communities who support degen projects with no context to why they should succeed, it's done well, which again just makes me bullish on Omi in general, because it's like, okay, this is actually real. And then eventually they're either going to make money or lose money, and they'll put it into real projects. But like that one, I was like, okay, it's up 130%. God damn it. Yeah.
Good times. Jacobs is taps. What's good? Zaliqua fam. I don't know what Zaliqua is.
Zilliqa. Still hold my Zilliqa, brother.
Besides, between now and 2025, peak you see Omi price hitting. I could answer for both of us. Peak, if I'm, well, I won't say my golden goose scenario. I will say my bull case. It's a range, and it'll start at 35 cents. Taps' peak is at 4 cents.
That's not a peak.
Oh, that's like your
You're talking about
base.
2025? You
Yeah.
think 35 cents?
I think between 35, depending on how much we burn, I think between 35 and 50 cents is possible. And I'll tell you why. It's because I do expect, I have become a little bit more of a ETH maxi in the last, say, like several months. And I think that at some point, maybe not this next bull market, but maybe the bull market after, I do think that Ethereum does flip Bitcoin. And I do think that
I agree with that.
they both hit a $10 trillion market cap before the end of the decade. And I think that if we extrapolate that and work, wind the clocks back in 2025, I think the peak of that next bull market, they'll probably reach over $1 trillion, probably even multiple $1 trillion each. And if we take Omi, and let's say we only burn about 50 billion in the next 2.5, 3 years, and we go and let's say we're down to 265. We're going, and at 10 cents, that would only be a $26.5 billion market cap. If every single other top 10 coin were to only go back to all-time highs, assuming no extra money goes in, we might barely scratch the top 10. And I think that 10 cents is very, very, because that market cap is very, very doable. I think that's very, very easy, and that's why that's my bear case.
So I do think that like a top 20 is possible, depending on what all happens with literally like the VeVeVerse and like how they roll it out. And I do think the fact that they're already here this early is very bullish. Like when I saw this, I was just like, oh, okay, like they're actually really working to make it a thing that makes sense for other people outside this community. And like that is a big changer. 35 cents in 2025, 2026, I think is literally impossible. in my opinion.
Why?
So you're saying right now, where we are, based on the wallets sizes, that you think we could go, what even is that, like
Well, if there was no burns?
600%? Sorry.
Well, no. So, I mean, 6x, I mean, if we do 10x, that's 0.008. If we do 100x, that's 8 cents. 8.5, but say 8.
No.
Yeah.
At 0.008.
That's 10x. So 100x would be 8 cents. Or 8.5, but between there.
Right, you're right. I think there's again a big mix between price discovery mode when no one's heard of it and in a bull market to where we're now. I think what we're doing is going to be incredible, and I think it will rally, but I think it's going to take some time. And I don't see it being a 35.
Yeah. So, I mean, a 35, you said you don't see it being a 35x.
No,
And so if a 10x is 0.008,
between 10 to 15x is what I think.
and then, so,
Again,
so you don't think,
everything kind of reset, and that's not explicit to
so you think
Bitcoin.
max we only go back to all-time high about 1.2 cents?
Slash potentially higher, but again, it's going to rely on what they deliver.
So if we don't
Because-
burn any OMI,
Because what's changed in the community, in my opinion, and again, like I'm not trying to be a bear. I'm trying to have an open
I think
conversation.
going 15x, I don't think you're necessarily a bear, but
In some views, yeah, you are. The way I think about it is like, okay, everyone's expecting new things. Everyone's expecting this. They've held long enough. They know what causes the price to go down. And so if they're expecting something and it's not delivered, the price goes down.
Mhm.
And like, that's going to be the thing until we actually get actual tangibility that this is what we showed you and this is when it's coming. And that's when it starts churning, is where, okay, they're delivering on these things and we want these. And like, I think that's what re-kicks it off. But like, we're in a bear market and like everyone's losing money and it's hard, So I think it's just kind of a matter of rebuilding that.
so you think a lot of people that have dollar cost average down here, or even if they bought it, let's say 0.004, once they're able to get their money back without a loss, they'll probably sell.
I don't think majority. I think also people just like collecting, like I bought one. I'm not selling. Several things I've bought cheaper,
Mhm.
even though I didn't pay the buy now price. But like I bought them cheaper, and I was like, I'm not selling it.
Yeah.
Um,
So you do realize that at, let's say 1.2 cents, which would be about the 15x, or maybe like 14x, it would be without any burns, 330, but that's about a $4 billion market cap.
wait, what?
If we're only going to about 1.2 cents,
Mm-hmm.
that's only about a $4 billion market cap.
Based on burning what's current.
Based on us not having any burn at all. If we do burn, let's say we burn, 30 billion, then we're looking at a less than $3 billion market cap.
I need to take some time to look at it
Okay.
because I don't think that equates. But we can look at it.
Okay. Jeff Bevan says, I love Randy. I just wish my wife did. I love you guys so much. Dicey said it best. One trademark is why Banksy hate commercials work. Why Banksy hate commercials work. I mean, I think having Banksy is a very good thing. Ethical, is graffiti on things without permission. Ethical. I mean, what is ethical and what is not? Yeah, I'm reading into it. It's interesting. Foster's wife is a woman. Can't assume or lose how it is. Andrew Tate Media, maybe. I like Andrew Tate. Have you seen Andrew Tate? I think he speaks a lot of truth, but he says it in the most a-hole-ish way possible.
He said some things that I think, he says things that I think if you really want to bake down equality, he's right. And then he says some things where I'm like, you're a huge piece of shit.
We'll do that later.
Yeah, so but I would say that he outweighs his realistic view to being a piece of shit, the fact that he's a bigger piece of shit. Personally.
Cavell Anderson says, just chill for the next decade. We all gonna make it.
We all gonna make
it, Cavell. Let's get this bread. Cavell, we miss you out here. I think it'd be really...
I was actually really excited to meet Cavell in person. And I understand, like, not being able to make things because, like, something came up, but yeah. Looking forward to meeting next time, man.
Yeah, we wanted you here. I think it's good to meet up with the fam and just get invigorated. Everyone here has fans, and well, at least for content creators. And there's some people this weekend that had blocked me on Twitter, that had not like that just haven't interacted with me in like years because they blocked me on Twitter, and they were chill with me and like, what's up? So I don't want to say, I mean, nobody will know who I'm talking about. I don't want to say it's because they were like, bitches in real life, even though they may have been. I think it's just because a lot of people, their heart tends to soften, and there is that underlying issue, that implication of violence when it is men. And a lot of times, like look at Fight Club. Most people try to avoid fights or have never been in a fight, and you just want to make peace with people. You just want to say, hey, how's it going? And especially when, like, the energy around here is just so positive and so...
It's crazy. I've never seen anything like this. Like,
yeah. And we were here last year, and this...
Yeah, so, I will say, so everyone on the stream, like, hey, we were just, like, joking around, like, this bathtub is huge. Let's hop in here and, like, do a stream just to be funny. And, thanks for supporting Randy's channel. And I understand, like, not everyone can fly out to an event. And I think it's great because they're actually going to start targeting other cities, so, like, it'll make it more accessible for people in different areas. I will say that our community is amazing. Like, you can get, several hundred to 1,000 people on a Twitter Spaces or in a chat with Randy or in a Discord, like, but what's really makes it super real to me is last year I came in expecting, like, okay, like, I've seen Axie meetups, I've seen all these other, and like it's a bunch of us weird crypto nerds, and it's kind of quiet and we're all antisocial. That wasn't what it was. It was like people who actually then became really close friends and were very, very gifting and just cared about each other. And I was like, oh wow, this is great for 70 people who've never met each other to just actually generally be friends and care about each other. And we're just also huge nerds about this.
Yeah.
And then this year it was like, there's like 300 plus of us now.
There's so many.
And
it's just amazing.
And like literally people were like building art and like doing so many things that were just so passionate about it. And it really takes you back. And like I said like earlier, I was kind of fearful to come to this because I had to take a step back from doing content, and I was like, people are gonna be mad at me. No one was mad at me. They were like, yeah, I'm selfishly, I want to see more content, but at the same time, like, hope you're okay. And it really took me back. And like people tell me like, oh, this video that you did a year and 3 months ago, I showed to this person of this company because I needed, and like that, I was just like, all of that was just validation of like why it's worth it, And it's, yeah.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me too. I mean, it's, I expect people to, I mean, now I expect people to come say like, hey, I love your content, but then like the gifts that people give, there's no, I mean, because I kind of, I think cut from the same cloth where we, make other family members gifts instead of buying it. I would expect like, hey, thanks is all I need, is all I really want. I don't even, but having said like, hey, I made this for you, or hey, like, we watch you at the firehouse all the time, or we
Oh, those guys are so amazing.
they're so chill.
They're so good.
Shout out to Los Angeles Fire Department.
They're amazing.
They're like amazing. I hope they see this. I'll mention it an hour 20. I'll send it to them. It's gonna be so weird if I send them the video with no context and we're just both shirtless.
Just chill for 58 minutes and then you'll get into it.
Yeah, it's wild. I don't think when you started, did you expect it to turn into this? Turn to like one of the biggest people in the community?
No. And like we talked about this, where it's like, it's still weird because again, like I went from a Discord group of 12 people that were my friends and family that I started, to me wanting to start a YouTube because I wanted a bigger community. And I was like, if I get like 20 to 40 subs that are just like want to talk about crypto NFTs like me, because I was nerding out on it back in like early days, I would be stoked. And then I didn't have a Twitter, I didn't have a Telegram, I didn't have any of that stuff. I had no idea that there was a VeVe community when I did my video. I just saw the video from Blockchain Andy and I was like, oh, this makes sense to me. Like, yeah. And I loved it. So I was like, come do a video. And then it blew up and I was like, what is this? I was like, I didn't know there was a community here. So am I surprised what it is now? Yeah. I'm wildly surprised because when you look at something like the golden standard of metaverse projects, like Decentraland Sandbox, what does the headline say? They've tanked on users.
There's 40 users.
They're not growing. What are we doing? We've tanked in users. However, we still have a shit ton more than both of them do combined.
Right.
And for a market where everything is down and 300 people show up positive as hell, I've never seen anything like that. It's
Drop
crazy.
still selling out. Like
It's
we had
crazy.
more on. I think we had more volume on the Brian VeVeVerse drop yesterday than we palmed it on Superman. And Palm is one of the ones that's actually doing really well with Bat Cows and Hero. Like combined, that they're doing very well. But when we have artists that aren't necessarily mainstream doing more volume than those, just that's insane. I think VeVe does a very good job with other companies are trying to say like, hey, Hello Kitty fandom, or hey Arnold fandom, come buy these NFTs. Where VeVe, what they do is they have the people that are already interested in NFTs, like, hey, let's bring the people that are interested in it to the fandom, and they're only going to grow. Taps isn't real is figuring of Randy's imagination, like Tyler Durden in Fight Club.
My name is Tyler Durden.
I think I told you yesterday, that's one of my fears, that this is like a simulation. And what if like I'm just a brain in a vat of liquid and this is a hallucination? I mean, if you were to wake up and it's 2017 and VeVe doesn't exist yet, and you tell any of your any investing friends like, hey, like first off, what the heck's an NFT? And then second off, like, Al Khan, the guy that did Pokemon and Cabbage Patch Kids, is he doing this? And there's people interested in this? No one would believe you. This is very, very surreal. It's very insane. So yeah. On that note, Taps is gonna fall asleep in the tub.
Yep.
So we're gonna have to bounce. I love you all. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comment's good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Taps. Bye-bye, Taps. Look at the bulge in his face.
What?
I mean, it's air, but you know, it's meow 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 meow. Meow.